Hello my dear friends and welcome to my channel. My name is Barbara and today we're going to be looking at Saturn in the 6th house. So very excited to be getting into this particular video. This video is for you if your Saturn placement is in the 6th house. If you're a cross watcher, welcome as well. If you guys want to learn even more about Saturn and what it means, the transits, the karma, your Saturn return, I have previously recorded a video where I do go more in depth, so you guys can check that video out. I will put it in the description box below. So let's go ahead and jump right into it. First, we're going to look at what Saturn means. Then we're going to look at what the 6th house means, and we're going to look at all of it together. So Saturn deals with your karma. Wherever you have your Saturn placed, it is a karmic placement, okay? It's karma that you're clearing, lessons that you're learning, areas of growth, and sometimes I can actually even see Saturn as an area that you're meant to master in this lifetime because Saturn works over an extended period of time. So what tends to happen is if you do learn the lessons and you're not resistant, Saturn eventually does reward you just over an extended period of time. It's not going to be right away. It's not going to be instant gratification. It's not going to be that Amazon Prime package, if you guys know what I'm saying. So that's really what it is when we're working with Saturn. It also deals with rules, regulations, restrictions. It could be an area that you were restricted in when you were growing up. Saturn a lot of the time can deal with the father. I like to look at it as whoever was the dominant masculine role in your life. Sometimes the roles can be reversed, but whoever was this dominant masculine role, they restricted you in one way, shape, or form. And then also in turn, throughout life, it shows us our relationship with authority. So for you guys, you have it in the 6th house. 6th house is ruled by the sign of Virgo. It deals with health, healing, wellness. It deals with being of service. It deals with your day-to-day tasks, the routines. But really, this is what the earth plane is about, okay? It's all about practice makes perfect. When you do have the Saturn in the 6th house placement. So when you were growing up, right away what's coming through dimension, so this is probably going to definitely resonate with someone who taps into this video. You could have had a father figure or whoever was the dominant masculine role, very strict on you. I'm actually psychically seeing someone who was learning piano, and it was kind of like this, you have to practice every day, you have to become very good at it. Like they were very much, putting you into this strict routine as a child. Now, two things can happen when this happens. Either you become very much like obsessed with having a routine at all times. And if you don't have a routine, you don't feel in control, you might get anxiety and you constantly have to be doing something. Or you can go in the opposite direction where it's like you are resistant to having a routine. So this could happen as well when you have Saturn in the 6th house. Because a lot of the time, as I've been doing this series, what's been coming through dimension is our success in life is closely tied into our relationship with responsibility. And you want to look to see where Saturn is in your natal chart, because that's going to be the area that you at an early age had some form of responsibility placed upon you. Now, it could have been this example. It could have been so many different things. Maybe you had some sort of health issue, okay, when you were a child. Maybe there was some sort of situation that took place. Maybe you were diagnosed with something and you constantly had to focus on health. Okay, there could be this area. Maybe you had a parent who was very obsessed with health in their own way. So maybe they put you on a very strict diet. Maybe you grew up and it was like, you can't eat this. It has to be gluten-free, sugar-free, this. I'm actually seeing Kourtney Kardashian anyways, but it could be something like this. I don't know what she's like with her children, but it could be an energy of this where it's like very particular diet. And as a child, whoever was the parent in that dominant masculine role put you guys on this diet because it's like, again, that's the Virgo energy. Virgo finds something and they laser focus on that and they want to perfect that area. A lot of the time it is in the area of health and its routine. So this could have taken place as well when you were a child. And now in turn, several different things can happen. You can always go in either extreme. Maybe it's kind of like, now I want to eat everything. I want to eat as much as everything as I can because you were placed in this restriction. So you might have struggles with food. There might even be some sort of eating disorder that has taken place because of this restriction, right? Because it's kind of like you have to look at Saturn as like the area that's like hyper focused. And then when you have 6th house Virgo is all about perfectionism, right? It's all about, being very critical and nitpicky because it wants something to be ideal and perfect. And Virgo really teaches us that there is no perfection. If it's in an area of the diet, right? It's like, the child wants to eat sugar. They want to have what the other kids are having. It is obviously everything is all about, balance in life. You don't want your child to be like overeating in sugar either. But it's like if the hyper focus is on that, then it creates that resistance in the person. So then when you grow up, maybe you have some sort of eating disorder, or maybe it's kind of like, now I can eat everything, now I'm an adult. It tends to happen also with the Saturn in the 6th house. By the time you get to your Saturn return, there's something here that needs to be dealt with, either again around routine or your health. There could be some sort of health issue that comes up, or it's kind of like, if I bounce off of that example that I was giving guys of like the child that was restricted on the diet, and then, you know, you get into your adolescence and you get into like your working age and you're like, now I can buy food for myself and I'm going to eat whatever I want to eat. And it's like, now you start eating and maybe there's some sort of issue that arises around your Saturn return. And it's kind of like, now you have to revisit this whole area and you have to fix your diet or whatever it is. Okay, so that's kind of an example, but this doesn't mean it's going to happen to everyone. It might happen to no one, but I'm kind of giving you guys examples so you kind of get an idea of what happens when you have Saturn in the 6th house. Now, another thing here, as I was mentioning earlier as well, you know, what could happen is like, you could be hyper obsessed with having a routine. Like it could literally be like, you just want to keep yourself busy all the time. A lot of the time, this energy of like constantly needing to feel busy is closely tied into abandonment. I know, I know that might be a lot to unpack, but it is, because it's kind of like, I always need to feel busy. I always need to feel like I have something to do. And it's like one thing throws off your routine and it's like your class gets canceled on Wednesday evening, your Pilates class or whatever it is. Have any of you ever done Pilates? Anyways, it was so hardcore when I did it, but whatever. I digress. So your class gets canceled and it's like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I don't even know what to do with myself now, because it's like you're being thrown out of your routine and it's like, it deals with control, you know, it's your solar plexus. So this is something that you guys are going to have to work on. It's like the energy of control and needing to feel in control, because for whatever reason, when you were growing up, there was a lack of that control, or you could have had a very controlling parent, or it could have been a very critical parent, like whoever was that masculine parent, okay, in your life. And this could re-manifest, okay? It could manifest into your relationships. It can manifest into, usually it's with authority though, so it can manifest into things like your managers, things like your teachers when you're in school, authoritative figures, okay? People who have power over you. And it's like, you might have this resistance within you where it's like, don't control me, right? But then at the same time, you're trying to have control over your life. So that's the thing. Usually you're going to notice like whatever area in life you have the most like either resistance to or like focus on, a lot of the time there might be something going on with Saturn there. So for you guys, it's this area, health, healing, being of service. That's another thing that could have happened when you guys were younger and you were growing up. Maybe you had to be of service at a younger age. So maybe there was some sort of health condition within the family. You guys had to grow up really fast, you know, help that parent, maybe cook for that parent, or whatever it is, something like this. And then it's like, because this happened to them, it's like you don't want it to happen to you. Now you have a huge focus on health. It's kind of like this whole cycle, right, that happens. But really what you guys are meant to master in this area, because Virgo is very divine, okay, when it's in its divine aspects. It's very much a beautiful energy in the sense where it's like, you want to be of service, you want to help people, you want to heal people, you have this like healing energy to you, and you're going to notice this over an extended period of time. That's the thing here. You guys are really meant to learn to relinquish control. I would say is a huge one with the 6th house. You guys are meant to be okay with things being disrupted in your routine, not get hyper focused and hypercritical on an area, okay? That's the thing, because it's like, again, when you're hyper focused, it's almost like this energy where it's like to your detriment, you know, it's like the mind is just focused on that. So maybe finding something more positive to focus on, like, you know, going to the gym, but even that, like, honestly, like the 6th house energy is like, even when you go to the gym, you're gonna be like, I want to have the perfect body. This isn't, you know, good enough. And, you know, this like, you know, tone muscle needs to look like this or whatever it is. So that's the thing when you have Saturn in the 6th house. But that's really what Saturn is teaching you guys, because ultimately in the end, it's kind of like you guys are here to help your healers. That's the energy with Virgo. They are the healers. They are here to help people. They are here to be of service, but obviously in the positive way, where it's like you guys aren't overextending yourselves. You guys aren't over giving to the point where you're being drained. And it's like, who knows, you know, maybe you grew up and you had some sort of chronic health issue when you were growing up, and it's like you've become the master of that. Maybe you helped heal yourself, and now later on you're helping heal other people in the same area, or you're talking about it, or whatever it is, you know. Maybe something happened around your Saturn return and it's like now you're helping others, or it's like maybe you broke through that hypercritical voice, internal voice, maybe of that parent who was like forcing you to practice the piano every day, and it's like now you're helping other people break through that inner voice as well. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the idea here. I'm sure you guys catch my drift, but that's really what's happening when you have Saturn in the 6th house. It really deals with this area. You basically are going to get rewarded over an extended period of time, but you have to learn these karmas. So what tends to happen is, the way that I see it, now that the frequency of the planet is higher, usually I find that now people are more open to their lessons. They're more open to, learning these things, the healing modalities, all these types of things. So usually by their first Saturn return, they do start to slowly master that house so the lesson doesn't keep repeating. Because back in the day, most people didn't learn these lessons until their second Saturn return. It's like they keep repeating the same patterns, you know what I mean? Because they don't see what the issue is. But that's the thing here. So that is some positive news for you guys. I do hope you guys did enjoy this video on Saturn in the 6th house. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe. You guys can let me know in the comments below as well. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day.